Hey guys, this is Mr. Coy, and I want to go over the requirements for writing a lab report. Lab reports are good ways to communicate your science process to other people's, and this is what I'm going to be looking for as a finished product to turn in after we do some in-depth labs. So I've got two examples that I want to go through. This one on the left is a lab report that's actually going up for publication in a couple different botany journals right now. I got to work on this project when I was in college, and they developed it and have gotten it to a point where the main authors are ready to submit it. So this is like something that is professional quality work. And over here, I've just got a little template of a real simple bare bones lab with some examples of what you might do for one of your projects. But there are some very similar pieces here that I want you to make sure you include in your lab reports. So right off the bat, on this one, we've got a section that identifies the writer. Likewise, in a professional quality report, you've got acknowledgments to the people who are writing the lab report and credits to the facilities and universities that they are at, that they did the research. Also on this cover page title area at the very top, you've got the title, influence of seed predator dispersals in mammalian herbivores and on oak and hickory regeneration. The title over here is determining which fertilizer grows the best corn. With a good title, you want to be as descriptive as possible so the reader already knows what the whole report is about, except for like the results and exactly how they did the experiment. So you want to have the independent and the dependent variables both addressed in the title. For our basic lab report, we've got which fertilizer grows the best corn. The fertilizer is the independent variable what the researcher selects, and the growth of the corn is the dependent variable. Over here, we've got the independent variable is the seed predators and dispersal, and the dependent variable, what they're measuring, is the regeneration of oaks and hickories in this forest. So, as we move on past the title, we've got background information in this lab report. It's got some information that's crucial to understanding the concept that's being investigated. Also, please notice that these are cited as well. You've got in-text citations, including the author's name and the year of the publication that they made this publication. So here we've got photosynthesis is a chemical process for which plants produce sugars from carbon dioxide and water with the help of light energy. That's a quote or a paraphrase quote from Watson's article in 2004. So in the professional lab report, if you come down here, we won't have an abstract, so don't worry about that. Once you get down into their introduction or their kind of background information kind of stuff, you can see it's just riddled with in-text citations of all the previous researchers. This is why this is commonly called a literature review, because they're reviewing other literature that's been published. So background information, facts and stuff that people already knew, and this is where you're going to be doing your research and citing any of your sources. As we move on, we get into purpose. This is something that I want you all to get used to identifying. It's part of the scientific method, but it's not going to be explicitly shown in this lab report because it's kind of embedded in the different sections. Okay, hypothesis. The hypothesis is also embedded into this main introductory section, even though for us, I want us to get used to identifying the hypothesis very clearly. Like over here, towards the end of this introduction section, they start talking about their hypothesis. If hickory nuts are cached further than acorns, it allows that a greater proportion of oak saplings than hickory saplings should be found under the canopy of a possible parent. They're talking about how far the nut falls from the tree, and what that's going to do to regeneration of those trees. Will there be more surviving seedlings if this nut falls further from the tree, or if it's taken further from the tree by a animal, or will it be closer? So really, we've got a good if-then statement over here in ours, and pretty much the same type of if-then statement occurs over here. If then. So if then might seem really easy, but it's a go-to way to organize a hypothesis. Methods, as we move on, methods should include two parts: your explanation of what you did, a description of the experiment, and your materials list. Methods should be a paragraph written in past tense. People want to go for like a bulleted kind of, or a numbered 1, do this, 2, do this. You can't do that. That's not the right way to do it. You got to have a paragraph, past tense. It's like a beautiful science story about what you did for this experiment. And if I can show you the methods part of this experiment, describing a specific part, the seed tray experiment, it says 5 chinkapin oaks and 5 shellbark hickory trees were randomly selected. This is their past tense, third person written method section. Your methods can be the same way, past tense and third person. Never use the words I, you, or we, or they. No pronouns. Always avoid pronouns in scientific writing. Third person. Okay, past that, we got our materials. Materials you can put in a list. I'm cool with that. After that, I normally like putting data separate from the rest of the analysis. This is just raw data collected from the experiment. In this one, I believe they actually combine it. Yeah, they combine it to, yeah. So for your experiments, data, show a table. Make sure tables are annotated with a good title, including a number of it, like table 1, table 2, and then a descriptive title about what that table holds. Your analysis goes further to start talking about the raw data. This is where you're going to put any sort of calculations. This is going to be where you put any graphs, anything like that. So this analysis starts describing the table. It says the table 1 shows the data for different fertilizers. Notice the treatment with distilled water was the shortest and had the least yield. It also had the biggest change in color over the season. So you're starting to identify some patterns, but you're not really talking about what that means compared to the hypothesis. That's more of a conclusion kind of thing. Also in your analysis section, you should put any sort of graphs that you need to put. So graphs, just like the tables, need to be annotated. You've got a title here, or a number and a title. This is table 1 and a title. This is graph 1 and a title. Your graphs should be organized. They should have keys on them. And any sort of typed graphs, you really need to build in Excel or some other spreadsheet. So you might process your data into a table that looks like this, and then use the chart building tool to put it into a bar graph. And we'll go over how to do that when you have a lab requiring a graph. Okay, so we've got our analysis here, which is similar to this results section for this lab report. You can see they're talking about statistical tests and some of the data. But then at the end, the last big idea is your results or your conclusion section, where you're really talking about what you learned from it. And this one even goes back to talk about what already was known from the literature review and kind of compare what was discovered in their study. So for your lab reports, I'd like first to address whether the hypothesis was supported or not supported, and then have a description referencing back in the text to the graphs and figures that you have in the analysis. I'd also like for you to address any sort of error that could have occurred in the experiment where things could have gone wrong. In anything that you might want to change. And then at the end of the results and conclusion, you should go on and try to make suggestions for how this study could be followed up and researched more thoroughly in the future if you were wanting to do another experiment on the same topic yourself, or if you were making a suggestion to other researchers that wanted to follow your work as well. So in the end, you got to have references and work cited. Anything that was cited in your in-text citations up here also needs to be cited in a works cited bibliography style list at the end. And this one is certainly no exception. You got all the literature cited from other research experiments that people have done. So that's your crash course on how to write a lab report, and good luck.